think we're live. We're live and in full Technicolor.
In full Technicolor. Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I realize I'm like the little kiddos might not know what Technicolor is. They might be like, what are you talking about?
All the colors at once.
Not black and white.
Display. Far from the opposite of black and white. Yes. Yeah.
We're so excited for you all to join us on this conversation about personal sovereignty. And I'm really excited for you all to get a chance to hear from Miss Stephanie Zhong about this, because she's just the way you talk about personal sovereignty is just like so inspiring and so grounding, that I'm excited to like people to hear more about it, because I think it's at least for me, it like cracks something open. And yeah, I'm excited for this conversation.
I am too. And I just want to welcome everybody. This is if you're joining us for the first time, or you've been here in the past, I just want to say thank you. Alli and I I'm so excited for this conversation too. And we sort of set it up in a way, in an arc, almost for a grand finale. So if you're new, we've been doing several summer series on Freedom Fridays that kicked off right after Independence Day for us to really deep dive into other dimensions of what freedom can look like, individually and collectively. And so we are excited. We invite you, if you are joining us live, to please feel free to contribute to the conversation in the comments. And also, if you have questions that you want us to dive into, we welcome you to do that too. And we're excited for folks that are catching us on the replay. This conversation doesn't, even though this is the very last of the conversation, you're going to see this is just opening the door for us to expand these conversations and to develop further. And so we began with talking about luxury as the very first Freedom Friday was luxury as a liberatory practice, like really reframing that. We have talked about ancestral lineage and the power of looking at history through other lenses to find new blueprints and maps and tools for us to create worlds and activating freedom and care beyond our wildest imagination, beyond what our 3D binary capitalistic ism-filled world looks like. And then today we are ending with personal sovereignty. And what I love about this, and Alli, I just appreciate that the two of us have been engaging in a deep conversation around personal sovereignty and solidarity, which have been traditionally, in a lot of ways, at odds with each other, right? Like we live in a country that's all about self-determination. And so we've gone deep for several months. So we wanted to invite you in to reimagine and activate personal sovereignty with you. And we hope that you walk away feeling empowered and curious to go further. So just welcome. I just wanted to say that just to ground us in this conversation.
Yeah, you're so well, let's get started. So when you say personal sovereignty, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so personal sovereignty, for me, at its core, is about truly being connected to and owning our story, our identity, and our worth. I was looking up the word sovereignty recently because, and I'd be curious how sovereignty was taught to you or defined. What is the definition of sovereignty that you've come into this space with? Because sovereignty has traditionally been around like rulers, monarchies, the source of ultimate power was the sovereign leader, right? And so it has a lot of political implications. It has a lot of power, like that the idea was, it was kind of set up as a binary, really. It's like, there's the highest power at the top, and then there's the rest of us. And so personal sovereignty for me, and I think lots of people have great definitions, but for me, it is about really 4 4 areas
Mhm.
that for us to be connected and owned, and it's a very it's an inner workings.
Mhm.
So it is about uh, sourcing our own inner power, of
Mhm.
which we actually have a lot more than we realize. Like, I've
100%.
learned this in my work, right? So
Mhm.
sourcing our inner power, having um, being able to harness peace
Mhm.
in stressful and other situations. And by
Mhm.
doing that, we are by building skill sets around being able to harness inner peace. And
Mhm.
my Asian ancestries are all over the inner peace thing. And I've been like rediscovering them and studying
Mhm.
them,
Mhm.
and a lot of the things, the mindfulness techniques like yoga, we don't really actually talk about it in this country so much about how it actually is coming from a lot of Eastern practices, right?
Yeah.
And then we've brought them in. So
Mhm.
I don't mind that they're being shared, but they are often,
Right.
co-opted or whatever. We don't really address these things.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it is about sourcing inner peace and calm in the eye and the storm, because when we
Mhm.
can do that, we expand our ability to problem solve. We
Mhm.
expand our solutions. We expand our creativity and our ability to actually imagine new
Mhm.
futures.
Mhm.
And we also don't feel the sense of threat of the other either, right? Which is how we've been taught to fear the other. And yes, I think we have some old primitive genetic stuff that still makes us tribal, that would instinctually make us do that. But
Yeah.
I feel like when we are in peace, we become curious. We actually have room to get curious and interested
Mhm.
in each other, and actually realize that that actually interacting with different perspectives and
Mhm.
people and identities actually helps us see ourselves more clearly as well
Right.
as other people. There's so many
Mhm.
benefits. And then I think the other piece is permission,
Mhm.
and that we give ourselves permission in terms of what permission to live out our values,
Mhm.
permission to follow through on some of our, the audacious ideas that we have,
Right.
permission to be who we are, even if other people might be judging or,
Mhm.
ridiculing us. And I think when we do that, then the last part is presence. And this
Mhm.
is a big one that in my personal brand work, this whole sovereignty thing has been
Mhm.
coming out of doing years of work with leaders around authentic brand, which
Mhm.
is really coming back to identity and owning the
Mhm.
identity and owning your narrative and your message and your voice, is that we cease to perform and we're focusing on our presence being the most impactful performance. And
Mhm.
so the presence is all about, again, mind, body, and spirit are locked in. They're moving together,
Mhm.
and everything is coming out almost in this very well, we feel it. You feel that click when everything seems to be flowing in that same direction.
Mhm.
That is us owning our sovereignty, in my opinion.
Mm. I love the 4 Ps, the power, peace, permission, and presence. I
Hmm.
love that, like the
Yeah.
4 Ps of personal sovereignty, which is also a P.
Which is also a P. Yes.
It's like this lovely framework of like how, like what I'm hearing a lot of in that definition is like the steadiness and like the groundedness of who you are, and like knowing. There's this great poem that I've like looked for and I can never find it. It's about this woman who realizes that she doesn't have to like be defensive,
Mm,
and that she's like, there's no need. She's like undefended. Like, may I be, this person that doesn't feel like I need to defend myself. And I think you
ooh,
have to have personal sovereignty to be in that place, because for me, personal sovereignty is about that knowing of like, I don't have to seek approval to get my
mm,
safety. Because I think we're
mhm.
conditioned that because we're social creatures,
Yeah.
that without our approval of our community, people who have more power than us, all that stuff, that we're in danger and we won't be able to be safe and
Yes.
pay for ourselves to eat and our housing and all the things. But I think what you realize is that you don't have to seek that, that you are solid and good and worthy, regardless of who does or does not approve of you. I think that there's something in there about sovereignty. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really resonate with that, Allie, too. I think approval and safety, I hadn't really like connected the dots the way you just did, but I know that approval has been a big part of my code switching career. It was the career before I had a career.
Mhm.
And yeah, that idea of safety. And it made me think too about how, in the work I've done with many visionaries, usually like we've got like somebody has a gremlin that's either saying I'm not enough or I'm
Mhm.
too much
Right. Or both.
or both. Yeah, actually,
Right.
depending on the scenario, it could be
Yeah.
both, right?
Right.
And I just like heard this inner nudge saying like when we're in sovereignty, are we also just intuitively feeling a sense of I am enough?
Mhm.
I wonder about that. And I was just, this sounds strange, but like in connection to like solidarity for a minute, it's kind of like Halloween, and I remember when I was sick and I couldn't go trick or treating, and my
Mhm.
brother just so easily like shared his candy with me,
Mm.
right? And then I feel like that's a sense of knowing that he is enough, that he has enough, and
Right.
he can be generous from that place. Like
Mhm.
we can be generous from that place
Yeah.
because we're not feeling threatened. We have that sense of peace.
Right.
We're not worried about being trampled on because we actually own our inner power,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
like we have enough. And yeah, and right, and we're giving ourselves permission to live in alignment to what we're feeling, what our body feels called to do,
Right.
you know? He
Yeah.
just did it, not because he was strategizing like this is morally right to do, and my sister was sick and my mom's going to make me do it anyway, so why don't I just do that so that I get a gold star at the end of the day?
Right.
Like I know I felt him, like he just did it so naturally.
Mm. Aw. Have you ever shared that, like, how you felt about that with your brother?
No, but I think I'm going to share it this weekend.
Yeah, you should.
I should.
Um,
Yeah.
there's so many times, like, I remember this isn't about personal sovereignty, but, like,
Yeah.
I remember, at my last job before we founded the equity practice, um, we used to have this tradition of when someone was leaving the organization, at the last staff meeting that they went to, we would, you know, celebrate them. And I remember this woman was leaving and her celebration and accolades went on for like an hour. She's crying, other people are crying. And I remember at the end, I was like, what would it have meant for her to hear that all along? You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because it's like we
Yes.
don't tell people how great they are and how much
Yeah.
impact they have on us. We just a lot of times the only thing you hear is like when you're messing up. And
Yes.
so, and I think that was a lot of the reason why she left. She just didn't feel appreciated. And in this last, the 11th hour, here comes all this love. And it's like, what? And I think some of it is I'm going to make a connection back to personal sovereignty.
Do it. Yes. What is
because,
the connection, Allie?
because I think like when you are undefended, when you are grounded, because I think there's something about, there's research that says, when you gain power, I feel threatened because
Mm,
it's just like because we have been conditioned to think about a hierarchy and that there's limited power and all the things that you were talking about. But if you are more sovereign, you're not threatened by that.
right.
So then you can tell the person that you're great. Like it
Yes.
doesn't take anything away from you to do
Yes.
that. So
Yeah. And that really is making me think about the flavors of power, one being external power, one being
mhm.
internal power. And that I'm just reflecting on myself, like where I have noticed in my past that I have been threatened
Mm,
was actually believing I don't have any power
right,
or
right.
agency,
Mhm.
right? But that when I do have my own sense of power and presence and so on, I could be really happy for a colleague. And
Right.
most of the time I am now, because I'm not, yes, like I chose freedom by going into business for myself,
Right.
right? So
Right.
I'm not spending a huge amount of time trying to protect my team,
Right.
or, managing different agendas and things. Although I do wonder, if I had had more sovereignty, or if I were to go
Mhm.
back now, would the conditions be different? And I
Mhm.
do feel like it would be different. Like, the system of human behavior and our isms may be the same,
Right.
but how I'm showing up is different.
Yeah.
That's
And
the key.
yeah, and how you perceive it, right? Because like
Yeah.
there's all this research about like we see what we pay attention to because like
Yeah.
basically everything we see is like a simulation. It's like our
Right.
brain
Yeah.
like bringing things together and
Yeah.
predicting what we're seeing. But it's like if you're sovereign, you're less likely to see like the threat. That's
Yes.
not an actual threat, right? Like
Right.
hopefully you see the lion coming for you when
Yeah.
it's actually a
Right.
threat. But like you don't, that's part of the problem is like we code things as a threat that's actually not a threat for
Right.
us. So
Right.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's like part of capitalism, right? Is like to make it seem like there's only so many opportunities at work and
Yeah.
there's scarcity, and that you have to protect the scarce resource of people. Like, it's sort of like only one person can be thought as really awesome. But that's no, we can think
Ridiculous.
like everybody is awesome. There's like no limit of giving love and appreciation. Like that is an limitless. We have a limitless supply of that if we want to give it away. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's a great point.
love that.
Mhm.
Um, I'm curious, like when you think about, I'm going to go to our next question.
Yes.
What gets in the way of you standing? We've started to touch on this a little bit, like
Mhm.
of standing fully in who you are and like being sovereign. Like, what are some of the things that for you can sometimes be a challenge?
Yeah, I would say that the challenge, it continues to be this internalized belief that capitalism, like, my survival still ultimately depends on the system.
Right.
I think that's really what it is. For me, it is the scarcity mindset piece that is the number one way I am knocked off and start to try and force things, start to shift into performance mode,
Yeah.
start to be, even in very subconscious ways, right? My nervous system gets dysregulated. We are living, right, obviously in these times, right? This is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about sovereignty, right? Like having
Mm-hmm.
personal sovereignty right now, because at least in my lifetime, in these decades, that we are living in the most precarious time
Mm-hmm.
for someone in my skin suit, someone of my gender, and because the news cycle does, and social media both,
Mm-hmm.
they make money off of fear,
100%.
right? So, and I can say that as somebody who was a former journalist,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing like how we made decisions on what, if I ran like the Americas section that day or the Asia section that day, it's like, what's going to actually make the front
Right.
page?
Right.
It is about, the if it bleeds, it leads.
Right.
And so therefore it's always speaking to, our most
Mm-hmm.
primal place. And then therefore it's the opposite of peace, right?
Right. Right.
It's the opposite of a lot of things. And
Mm-hmm.
usually there is something like overpowering. These days, it's all about war, right?
Right.
It's either about an actual military war or economic, trade wars or whatever. I mean, it's in that place. And so that it's it's normal or understandable to really be all in
Right.
on the survival. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, I think the thing that to some degree keeps me grounded is the fact that my commitment as a brand strategist and the way I do brand strategy essentially is about identity. And so it gives me, in a sense, a luxury of saying, this is what I believe in, this is what I'm creating. And like, if my offers are like this, I have to embody the exact same thing
Right.
that I am coaching or
Mhm.
offering in my business. And so
Mhm.
it gives me that. But the truth is, we know that on material thing, when it comes to finances,
Mhm.
there is a quote easier fast track way to get
Right.
money, allegedly, but at huge costs. And it's
Right.
like huge cost to your personal sovereignty, right?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, so that's what I would say is like the biggest barrier. But to me, is my fear of financial
Mhm.
security sometimes.
Mhm.
And the other one would be, and it's still a growing edge for me, around public visibility and being
Mm.
able to stand. This is the permission and the
Yeah.
presence and the power and the peace to stand firm in the unconventional. When I say unconventional, I mean like bucking the status quo
Right.
ideas that I want to see. I want to help amplify where I see it and like others, like for us to create this.
Yeah.
And that means that there's going to be resistance potentially.
Yeah.
If one is visible enough, at some point you're
Right.
gonna get slapped or more.
Mhm.
And maybe it's the subconscious fear, like, could I do that? And to me, what I actually have been seeing is the more we are aiming for impact and visibility, then the deeper rooted we have to get. Like our sovereignty has to
Right.
continually match at every
Right.
level.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, I have so many thoughts. My brain
Okay.
is like going. But now they're gone because
Oh,
I am
well,
menopausal.
I love it. Well, I want to ask you, what has gotten in the way for you in
Um,
terms of standing fully in who you are, Alli?
yeah, I think like the scarcity, like the one thing is like entrepreneurship for me, and you alluded to this, is like like a practice of my own liberation and freedom. Like
Yes.
because I've been able to like I used to have constant tension in my neck. I still get it occasionally, but because I was always waiting for the like negative thing to come my way that would like have um,
Mhm.
negative implications for my ability to like thrive, or what I believe would cause that. And so like I've watched myself become less defensive about things. Like it just doesn't
Mhm.
ruffle my feathers. Like I
Yeah.
remember at the beginning of my business, someone would like, I had the notifications on Slack and it would tell me when anyone edited my documents. And I was like, sharp pains were going up because I was like, what are they doing? You know, like, what are they like, what feedback do they have for me? And now, well, one, I turned that off, but
Brilliant. Thank you. Yes.
but but now that, you know, if you give me feedback, I don't feel the same thing that I did. So I think like when you are part of a system that's designed to keep you connected to scarcity and fear, like that can be, when I
Yeah.
think about my own sovereignty, is like that, or like worrying about what other people will say about me or what they'll believe to be true. It's like go back to like 6-year-old me, um,
Mm.
where I've shared this story. Like my teacher, Mrs. Doyle, was horrible. And I remember I went to she was so mean. I went to the board and was doing a math thing and like wrote my 5 backwards. And at 6, that's like developmentally normal. She lost her shit. She was like, "What are you doing? Why do you keep getting that wrong? What's wrong with you?" And she's like, "You're going to stand at that board and trace the 5 the right way, and then you're going to stay there tracing it through recess." And she did that. Like I'm at the front of the board like doing my little 5, and she did leave me. She left me in the
Oh
class
my gosh.
and
No
turned off
food?
the lights.
It's so ridiculous.
It's so bad. It's probably very illegal to like leave a 6-year-old by herself. But like that's where it comes from. Like this, like I need to be. approved of from my teachers to be literally safe, like literally safe. And so like I've attached my approval, people thinking I'm smart, to
Yeah.
my value. And so like that, if I think there's anything where people might not think I'm smart, um, or
Mhm.
strategic, or all the things that people say that they value from me, then I'm sometimes not as sovereign as I'd like to be. Yeah, it's like it keeps me from saying things that I think are like weird or woo, or like all the things that I think that are unique about all of us. It's like I don't want to
Yeah.
be a tall poppy, as they say.
I strive to be there. There's a street corner here in Philly that has sunflowers that
Mm.
grow to be 9 feet tall, and I strive to stand like one of them.
I love that. Sunflowers are so cool because they like turn to the sun,
Yeah.
and if the sun's not out, they like turn to each other.
Yeah. They're like, yeah. They're like, oh, well.
Right. I see light in you, so I'm just gonna turn to you.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like
So what are you up to today? You know,
right.
how are the bees treating you today? Are they
Right.
pollinating you today?
Right.
I want to
Right.
share. Spill some tea.
Um, I want to talk about this like woo thing, weird thing, because I think like both of us, like it's been so fascinating for me. So we started working together, I think, in 2022 or 23. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Something like that. Yeah.
And it's been, you have this like really cool part of your work and the ways that you use and infuse human design. And like we started working through like the messaging and own your message. And I've watched you, like witnessed you, like think about like, are these two things separate? Do I have to keep them separate and then start to integrating them? Um, so yeah, I'm like curious for you. And like human design, I often tell people I like love it. And I'm like, I'm a little bit woo. I like always couch it as like it's a woo
Yeah.
thing. But I'm curious for you, like what makes you feel like you have permission to say like the woo or weird thing?
Yes. And so I appreciate this question. I also appreciate the reflection too. And for folks who are new to my work, who are listening to this, for 2 decades, I've been mostly focused on marketing and story driven marketing with organizations. And then 10 years ago, I really listened to the calling that I wanted to help just visionaries who don't fit the mold, especially people from different marginalized identities, be able
Mm,
to own their story and their power and stand out and be thought leaders, because that's was the path that I wanted to be on. And
mhm,
so for the last 7 years, as I was really getting more deep and watching, leaders like Alli, right? Like decide to say the weird thing and then get featured in your dream publication, Harvard Business Review, right? Like
right.
almost not contributing your own truth.
Mhm, mhm,
I serve the very same people that I'm growing with,
mhm,
and so human design came to me. So human design is another level of on the practical level, you can use it at minimum as a
mhm,
tool for energy optimization
mhm,
and leveraging your energy and working your own, be sovereign about your own work style so
mhm.
you can be more impactful without having to hustle harder, right?
Right.
That was actually how I originally found human design.
Mhm,
When I started to study several years ago and go into it, it's really the science of differentiation. And it does come from a confluence of several ancient spiritual
mhm.
practices. And so it has that spiritual component of, you can look at it strictly as an energetic system,
Mhm.
or you could go deeper and say, what if you have just like genetic physical DNA, you
Right.
actually were gifted a divine DNA at your birth. And
Right.
you can actually see on a body graph the
Mhm.
constellations,
Mhm.
your different arrangement of different gifts and talents,
Mhm.
and also indicates your life theme, your purpose, how you most naturally radiate, and what they may come to you for a functional reason, but
Yeah.
what about your essence,
Mm.
your innate essence? Are
Mm.
they actually drawn to?
Right.
Very, like, because we talk about chemistry and we talk about
Mhm.
energy. And so I've been so fascinated by getting to witness and see people's individual blueprints. However, because it's not an evidence-based what we traditionally in the Western world have scientific method type way talk about what science is, then for people who, we are still conditioned to believe in strategy and logic as being the hierarchy of thought, even though all the studies debunk the idea and say we make emotional decisions and then we just justify. But the idea of sharing this, because it comes from 3 different ancient practices that aren't seen as being taken seriously in the Western world, it is woo. And it's also because it's got a connection to astrology from this and astronomy from this place of cosmic energy and how it impacts our bodies. Then it's easily in the woo land, right? Even though I've seen this, what I'm really seeing now, Alli, as we're talking, and what I've known for 3 years that I'm here to do is to bring together strategy and soul into our work world, which I now realize is actually an antidote to capitalism in a way. Okay. So I had an epiphany in one of my meditation moments. Like my human design style, rest is actually a source of creativity and innovation, and giving myself permission to rest has been just so transformational for me and my mind. So one of the things that this is my opinion. I'd be curious what other people think. So please feel free to share in the comments or send me thoughts after this talk about if you agree or not. But I don't believe this happened intentionally from a strategic point of view when capitalism came about, when industrial forms came out, to say we're going to separate the soul from the human. Like, I don't know if anybody even talked about the word soul, let's just say. Okay.
I mean, they did.
They did. Okay. So see, I needed someone like you, Alli, to kind of put it into context. But what I realize about capitalism is, above the systemic issues, one of the additional individual harms that I've connected to is this idea of disconnecting our soul from work. And the soul, and it's somehow, when we talk about woo, what we're really talking about is mindfulness. We are talking about spiritual tools that ground us, that center us, that allow us to discern truth for ourselves, right? That'll allow us to do many different things that would actually, in theory and in practicality, make us better managers, make us better collaborators, right? Like, if we are truly, we talk about bringing in a lot of circles, you and I, and people who do social impact work talk about the humanity at work. But in the work I've done, when people come to me for personal branding, I can't, it's a universal thing to say that they've disconnected from who they are when they're marketing and branding. It's like, suddenly it's like different hat, right? And it's like all of the things that are our genius, our brilliance, our weird flavor that people actually love. It's like we homogenize very quickly, right, into what we say and do, and we become performative. So for me, I realized that little by little, every single time that I personally have done that code switching, done that performing, done that melding, not speaking up, has led to physical harm on my body. Like, you were talking about neck pain, before. It's like, it's that individual harm that happens at a physical, emotional, energetic, and soul level. That's a lot of incremental harm that we don't see on the surface immediately, but it really does come at a big cost. And I think, for those of us who are maybe like late millennials, Gen Xers,
Right.
this is why I've met quite a few clients who say they know a lot of people in their 40s with high blood pressure.
Right.
So that disconnection. So the weird part is to be unapologetically woo. My fear was if I started writing and talking and sharing about this on LinkedIn, my fear is everybody who have known me
Right.
from my strategic, all of the strategic bells and with blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, she's now like the high priestess of LinkedIn, like that was my fear. And now I'm like, I don't care if anybody calls me that. And, if they do, I'll just own it because I think that, working with 170 leaders and watching the sovereignty happen and watching the magnetism and watching the visibility and the elevated messaging and content that is literally changing people's lives can't be wrong.
Right. Right.
For if it works for you, so that's the weird thing is that I'm codifying human design into something I'm calling the Brilliance Code. And yes, like we need to bring the woo into we need to weave in the woo. Okay. Like I'm weaving in the woo.
Can I like go on a little bit of rant about like the woo part and like how we're, so like, it's so annoying to me that like what happens is that science figures out, it's like, oh, like they figured out recently that this idea, I'm going to say this wrong, of like chi, like the energy that like
chi
is flowing through us and like why acupuncture works. They realize, oh, it's actually there. And now it's like, okay, because it's like the Western science is behind. And like, this is reminding me of like a conversation we had about like, the fact that if you speak 2 languages, it's like a negative thing.
You should be ashamed.
Right. And it's like literally.
I was ashamed of acupuncture. These are my ancestors, y'all. Right. I'm not ashamed anymore.
No, you shouldn't be.
Yeah, chi is powerful.
But it's like this, I don't know. It's like until they know it, it's not true. It's sort of like Columbus. It's like until your feet land on here, this is like undiscovered land. And it's like, what are you? Yeah, it's like that's a
so now medical insurance. Medical insurance covers you for acupuncture, what has been known for thousands of years. Exactly, right? It's but like, they determine the standards still, even though it's behind. I know. And I think you're right, is that this gets back into rethinking ourselves as trailblazers or being the first. So if being weird is because you're, and that's where I want to give a shout out to Danielle Leslie, who is one of my mentors, who talked about being a culture add, not a culture fit. And that even if we are going through trial and error. So one of the things that I'm working on with sovereignty, if we're talking about putting the word out and being there, right? Like this is what I do. And there's fear is, if you're the first to say something, celebrate yourself for being the first to say it.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's like Galileo, like be like Galileo here a little bit. And if it's true for you, it's true for some people. It may not be true for everyone, and that's okay. I like to remind myself and, friends and clients that I may not be, your favorite cup of tea, but I'm somebody's favorite chai latte, So we all, like all of us, and then this gets back to the Brilliance Code pieces, we have been disconnected from our brilliance. And I'll just share one more thing, and then I know I want to ask you, I want to connect the dots back to solidarity, but I just thought about this I read this really cool book, Interpreting the Wizard of Oz from Salman Rushdie years ago. And he talked about how interesting it is that, he was talking about as an Indian boy, why are so many of us so mesmerized by the Wizard of Oz? And, and it's, if you think about it, if you put ourselves in the shoes of Dorothy, she starts out in Kansas in a black and white world. Like it's shot
Mhm.
in black and white. She's
Mhm.
incredibly like disenchanted, like disappointed with,
Mhm.
doesn't feel like she has a place, like nobody's listening to her in this black and white world. And
Mhm.
then she finds herself in Oz and she goes through all of this stuff. And then the thing that Glenda says at the end was, you always had the power
Right.
to go home. And she goes, well,
Mhm.
why didn't you tell me earlier? It's like, because you wouldn't have believed me.
Right.
And
100.
so the key piece of sovereignty is the belief.
Mm.
The belief you have power. You do
Right.
have power.
You
And then when
always
she
have
goes home, it's
power.
now in color. So
Mhm.
her relationship to, and it makes me think about identity as being that home,
Mhm.
and that we have been, all of us have
Mhm.
been dealt this sort of thing that's prescriptive about what your identity is
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
this black and white world of binaries kind of
Mhm.
place. You're either this or that, you're this or that, you're this or that. And when you reclaim personal sovereignty, you do see the technicolor
Right.
of your own world.
Mm, I like that. That's so cool.
Yeah. And then you can see the like color in a whole new way around you. Like
Yeah.
it's technicolor everywhere, but you got to be able to see it in yourself first to actually see it
Mhm.
in other people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love
So,
that. I love
yeah.
that so much because it's yeah, it's so vivid of the like change, realizing that you're this rainbow and you were always a rainbow.
You're always
Um,
rainbow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was all
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah. I think like
So,
that like your question about the solidarity piece is
yeah.
um like why
Yeah.
it matters is like we were talking about this before of like
Yeah. And I just want to, can I tee it up real quick, Allie? I
oh
wanted
yeah,
to
yeah,
ask you,
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm like
So, yeah, I just wanted to say, even solid, you know, the idea of personal sovereignty, which has been kind of taken to the nth degree as self-determinism and
Mhm.
individualism, and then solidarity. I mean, we've politically seen this
Right.
be opposites, right?
Mhm.
And so, Allie, like, I'm really interested in hearing about how sovereignty to you that
Mm.
we reclaim these, because we're building a bridge between, where do you see sovereignty as being something that really helps to build solidarity?
Yeah. Um, it's making me think of the story you told about the Wizard of Oz because and this idea of like self-determination and what we've been told to believe is that we're free, but actually the system is in it's like imprisoning
Oh,
us. And so what my favorite musical right now is Hades Town. And there's this song that, and this was written before our current president was president, about Hades commanding the people that are in hell to build a wall. And then it's like, why are we building the wall? Like the song literally asks, why are we building the wall?
mm,
And it comes to like, we're trying to keep ourselves safe. So then it's like, you're literally not free. Like, it's like, we have to be free. We have to be contained.
yeah.
And so in that containing, that's how they keep us on the machine and thinking like scared that we're going to get kicked outside of the wall. But it's like, that's where all the freedom is. That's where the color is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
yeah. But for me, the solidarity piece is why sovereignty matters goes back to that undefendedness of like, if
Hmm.
you are not grounded in self and like secure in who you are, there's no way you can be in solidarity with people
Mm,
because you cannot seek the affirmation of people you want to be in solidarity with because and people pleasing, right? Like you can't, and the reason
mhm,
you can't is that sometimes to be in solidarity, it means holding people accountable for the agreements that you've made together and
mm,
calling each other back in and having the hard conversation. If I'm only concerned about you approving of me, I can't do that. And so then you remove one of the most important things for collective liberation is how do we
yeah.
navigate the places that where we have conflict and we let that conflict keep us from being in solidarity because we're scared of it and scared what you'll think of me if we have points like differences, right? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, I love that, because then when I'm actually hearing from that, and I've experienced exactly what you've said from both sides, really, in a number of different teams that have been not only doing work that was specifically around, the three words we can't say anymore, but I'm going to say it anyway,
Hmm.
like, you know, you
Hmm.
know, diversity and whatnot. But, but also what I just heard was the threat piece,
Hmm.
that without sovereignty, we're going to feel threatened by difference,
Right.
period. We're going to be threatened by anybody who has anything that is seen as like power hierarchy. Like that's what we're
Hmm.
seeing. We're seeing this.
Yeah.
And then we're going to react to that. And then the other thing that I heard around the approval piece, and is that perhaps for some people, it is shame.
Mm.
And I've I've heard this expressed among some of my white friends when they have been on the evolution of doing their own work,
Hmm.
that it's the seeking approval that you are good,
Right.
right? Which I know, but if you were sovereign, you probably would.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Is like
Yes.
you would also have grace for
100%.
your own
Yeah.
humanity,
Yeah. It's the most annoying thing when you're like,
forgiveness. Yeah.
right. It's like the when you're in cross racial spaces and you're like exploring identity, one of the things that drives me nuts is when people are seeking the approval of particularly Black women
Mhm.
and other people of color. Um, that is the emotional labor. It's like hella extractive, right? Like you are so focused on yourself and
Yes.
whether or not I
Right.
approve of you, you're making me stop my own development to care for you. You know what
Right.
I mean? Because you're
Yes.
blitzing all over the place
Yes.
of like, oh, am I good enough? Am I a good white person? Please get it together. You know
Right. Which
what
is
I mean?
performative too. Right. And
It's
so
not
here,
my
yes.
job to make you
Yes.
feel like you're good.
Yes.
That can only come from within so that you know you can always come home to yourself, right? Click your
Come home to that technicolor Oz that's within you.
right.
And so here's another interesting layer of that, when it comes to whiteness, is because
Mhm.
whiteness has been cultural erasure, right?
Mhm.
And so I've experienced people who've come through Own My Message, who their
Mhm.
biggest fear was they would discover they have no identity,
Yeah,
that
which
they
is
don't have anything unique to contribute. And then
yeah.
they realize,
Mhm.
actually, one of the reasons why I love human design too, by the way, is because you get to see this beautifully layered map of self
Mhm.
that came before, like that doesn't have labels on it. Like
Right.
it's
Right.
it's genderless, it's color, it's without all of the labels we have decided to
Mhm.
compartmentalize people
Mhm.
into, but you actually do get to see the multifaceted person that you are. And you
Mhm.
also get to, this is why I think when we talk about the ancestral lineage in the previous Freedom Friday, is
Right.
that we've talked about how imperialism, capitalism, racism has uh, disconnected us intentionally from our cultural ancestors and all that richness that you
Mhm.
come from,
Mhm.
and that, if we know race is a cultural construct, but, color is still, we've kind of all been severed from a lot of these things.
Mhm.
It's hard to have sovereignty if you've been severed from all the really.
Right.
And so self-absorption is not the same as sovereignty, right? Like, and self-sacrifice is also not the same thing as personal sovereignty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like we could keep talking for hours, which is true. We actually
We actually do in real life.
we
Yeah.
do that. But we want to make sure that we want to talk about, 'cause this is the last Freedom Friday, but it's not the last conversation.
Nope.
And so yeah, we wanted to share a little bit more about what we're cooking up. But before we get into that, I did want to talk about the ways that we're practicing, like one
Yes.
way that it came up for
Yes.
us. Um, and yeah, why don't you share a little bit about that? And then
Yeah,
we'll
of
jump in.
course. Yeah, and so if you've been if you're in our community already, in either of our communities, or you have been joining us at Freedom Fridays, then you know that Ali and I, as a really expansion experience of being able to not just dive in and understand, like build knowledge around these concepts together, but to actually internalize, integrate, and live out, which is what we're really excited about. We
Right.
had been talking about the subversive sojourn that was initially scheduled on August 28th here in Philadelphia. And as a practice of how personal sovereignty and solidarity meet,
Mm-hmm.
about a month ago, I was diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, Allie was one of the first people I told. I know, and number one, because, we are just ride or die people with each other, and that we are co-hosts and collaborators of the Sojourn. And so I shared this news with her, and I I was a little bit, I wasn't like, I would say this, it was like I was feeling a little bit guilty because um because Allie's vision, right? Like somehow I'll let her down, right? Like, I'll let her down on this vision, which, I knew came from her spirit. It came from her divine human design over time. It's just been an incredible thing. And I knew she would handle it well, but I did not want to let her down,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just wanted to share a little bit about, I was fully supportive to say, if Allie, again, like, if she wanted to continue on and if there was a way I could support her, I would have no qualms about that. If I just couldn't guarantee, like, when I looked at my own sovereignty and what I could
Mm-hmm.
consistently do, I was so emotionally all over the place. And also because, it's my first time through this, and there were all these appointments, like, I wanted to make sure that my full body yes, that she could count on me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to let her know as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do you want to share a little bit about, like, and then your own responses, and then we can talk
Yeah.
about, like, how we move through decision making together as a result of this, right?
Yeah. I think um I remember when you were like, I don't want to let you down. And I'm like, are you like, what are you talking about? You I want you to like be healthy and well. Like that's like the first and always for me personally, like the thing is like I think sometimes because of capitalism, um, we th- we forget that the whole point of being on this planet is to like be together and like
Yeah.
get to live this beautiful life together. It's not like who cares about like these metrics and deliverables and all those things. So like for me, there's no question that we would postpone it and like make sure you have the space to be well. And like I think my reaction was like, do you think I'm an ogre? He like would not pause it. Like I just think like yeah, there was no, of course we pause it, like I couldn't even think of any other response. Like I don't understand the other response, to be perfectly. I know people do it all the time, but I don't get it. This is just not how my
Yeah,
brain works.
I
So
know. I know. And I think too, well, but there were also, so this is that union of strategy and soul that we had to walk through together,
yeah.
right? Because it's not about creating a binary either,
Right.
about the real logistical things, the
Right.
implications that were coming up. Because I was also thinking about, the financial investment that was, going into it. And, that, and so how do we do all of these things in a way that
Yeah.
is going to be caring,
Mhm.
for both of us? And also, we thought about too, because, people had signed up already as well. So, we were really thinking about, like, getting back to, like, how does that, like, I think we naturally, because of our relationship, but also saw this as an opportunity to really like practice what we preach, live it out, right? And to be thinking about everybody
Mm-hmm.
in this scenario if we do different things,
Yeah.
right? And
And
so that I thought to me that's the kind of workplace that I had wanted
right.
when I wasn't going out on my own,
Yeah.
you
The
know?
thing
And so
is
some
like,
of that, the guilt and the thoughts are
uh,
kind of still the tether, you know, the tethered
yeah.
pieces of we're spiritual beings on a material plane. You know, there's
Right.
real things happening, and I didn't want to cause undue harm either,
Yeah.
right?
I get that. I
Hmm.
mean, I think that as you're talking about other workplaces, and then we are going to share.
And then we're announcing that
I'm
the
gonna put a link
sojourners, yes, we're
in the
gonna,
chat just before any
yes,
folks need to go, just so that you can
yes,
go. But uh, I think that we forget, well, because we're so connected to capitalism, that everything we're doing, we decided to do. Like the August 28th date, we literally picked because I was already going to be in Philadelphia, which was
yeah,
part of like me responding to scarcity. I was like, I don't want to buy 2 tickets.
yeah,
And so it's like, of course we can move it. Like all these
yeah,
contracts have clauses in them that, you know, you can cancel, you can move it. Like, yes, there was things that we had to figure out, but like I
yeah,
think that's always available to everyone. Unless you're on a battlefield in an emergency room, a fire person putting out a fire, your little deadline that you pulled out of your butt can always move and change. And so I
yes,
think remembering that is really important because it like if you can remember like
yes,
actually matters, I have a
yes.
line, then I think it helps you make different choices for sure.
Yes, and I would add to this, and because I feel like we're in the middle of the arc of the belief that if we are caring for ourselves and each
Mhm.
other, right, and it's not an either or situation, that the experience will actually be a better one than the one that we originally imagined. I really, really believe that, and you know, we're gonna test this one out, but I feel like we're already even seeing behind the scenes just some of the experiential things we wanted to do, but there were
Mhm.
some constraints
Right.
have now opened up as a result of us
Yeah.
being open to a different date.
Yeah.
So this gets into the technicolor piece of
Mhm.
looking at this situation as technicolor together, that the sojourn is going to be even better as a
Yeah.
result. You know, and there were also quite a few people who wanted to come who couldn't make it on that date. So there
Yeah.
was just like feeling like sometimes we force time and
Right.
scarcity. And so I feel like we're really actually practicing this third way. And then we're going to see how things unfold
Right.
when we um, untether ourselves from
Mhm.
scarcity or forcing things. You know,
Mhm.
that's been a part of how we've designed a lot of the pieces we love, has
Yeah.
really come from that place, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
Let's
so
tell
do we
people
want
about
to
the
let's
circle. Like
yeah. So now we want to tell people quickly about the circle. So what is happening instead for us to expand this conversation? If you have really felt curiosity and excitement about being able to tap into freedom this way, then we invite you to join a free community that we are doing to continue to expand and not just be a conversation between Alli and me, but really having intentional gatherings where we are deepening this work together. So
Mhm.
Alli has put a link in the comments section for you to join us for free ongoing monthly gathering conversations that we're going to have to continue to deepen and integrate and explore this together.
Mhm.
And yes, and we're going to weave in the woo. We're weaving together personal sovereignty with solidarity in new ways that help everyone to thrive and
Mhm.
not overgive or abandon ourselves or any of the things that in a lot of our traditional spaces we still struggle with. We're really creating a third space. So if you're down for a third space, come join us.
Yeah.
And the themes are related to the 4 things that we talked about before. So if you want to really kind of deepen this idea of luxury as liberation, expansive
Mhm.
rest, tapping into the rich ancestral lineages for new tools and blueprints, and the sovereignty and solidarity, and actually a whole lot of other magical things. Please
Mhm.
join us in the circle for our monthly chats, and it'll be a nice third space to get away from some of the other things, and maybe you can infuse for yourself back into your own lives from these spaces. That's what we hope for.
Yeah. And the link in chat will allow you to join. Like as soon as you add your name, you are in. And there's also like if you're curious about the sojourn itself, because it's still happening.
Yes, it is.
This like 6-month beautiful experience to like explore some of these ideas in a really embodied way.
Yes.
There's a place that you can indicate that you're interested in that on a form. And so we'll follow up with you and see if it feels like it's a good fit.
Yes.
And we're also like the people who sign up now, we want to make sure the date works. We're
Yes,
like
so you'll
trying
actually be
to like,
co-designing the date as well too,
yeah,
which
yeah, yeah,
again, we were thinking here's an opportunity to like take the solidarity and personal sovereignty up a notch.
yeah.
Is that if you're interested, and we would love to meet with you one-on-one, and then really share with you what the integrated embodied experience is like. And then, yeah, together we're going to land on a date that is really for the in-person piece, right? Which will also dictate like the 6-month range, but when we're going to do the in-person multi-day gathering as well
Yeah.
too. And then again, that's a chance for us all to practice what this
Mhm.
mutual liberatory space looks like.
Mhm. And we like Steph, we're only a minute 90 seconds over, which I want to like
Yes,
we did it.
we did it. We did it, y'all.
But yeah, I hope that y'all will like join the Sojourners Circle. I'm really excited about this.
Yes.
Like Steph said, we're hoping it'll be more conversational. They'll be like you'll get a chance to get to know each other, learn from each other. And it is free. We've loved having these conversations and we'd love to have them with you. So thanks so much for spending time with us this summer on Freedom
Yes.
Fridays.
Yes, thank you so much. And please reach out and share any of your thoughts with us because we
Yeah,
would love to hear. These are, ideas that continue to germinate and bloom together. And so, yeah, so please share your questions, your comments, and join us in the circle.
awesome. Bye, y'all.